Hello there and welcome to episode 15 of the Or So She Says podcast, and we are doing video for those who actually like to watch podcast videos, because I've actually recently started uploading episodes to YouTube as well for anyone who likes to listen on YouTube. So I said, why not delve into the world of actually recording videos, which is a pro and a con. I mean, pro for those who want to watch videos, and con for me who has to actually brush my hair now when I'm recording podcast. But hey, take the highs with the lows. Anyway, if this is your first time here, my name is Narissa Shea and I am a personal trainer, sport and exercise psychology consultant, a yoga instructor, a Reiki practitioner and a professional Irish dancer. Oh, I am so buzzing for today's episode. I've been meaning to record this for weeks now, and then I ended up getting smacked with a horrific viral infection and had no voice. So I'm very excited for today's episode, and as you can tell from the length of it, I have quite a bit to say on this topic. It's also an extra special episode today because it's going to be split into two parts. So in part one, I am going to discuss what are slimming clubs, how they work, why they work-ish for some people, the pros of slimming clubs, and more importantly, because I am a coach who ends up having to pick up all of the pieces after people are left scarred from these clubs with scale obsessions and a terrible relationship with food, the cons of these clubs. Then in part two, it is going to be an interview with one of my amazing clients who has tried all of these clubs and has vast experience in this area. And we are going to be talking all things training, nutrition, mindset with regards to how she's actually overcome her negative relationship with the scales and food, and also what she is currently doing now in order to not only be thriving physically, like I'll link her photos below, but more importantly, mentally and soulfully. So I really hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as I am enjoying recording it, because it's going to be epic. And remember, if you like this episode or any of the episodes and found them helpful, please feel free to share them with your friends, share them with your family, share it on social media and tag me. Oh my God, you have no idea how much that helps. People think, oh, I don't really have much of a following. And I'm like, you have no idea when people share my stuff. Like, it helps me get the message out. It kind of triggers the life out of me. People have absolutely no problem sharing content of like people who have millions of followers, but they have this beef with sharing content of smaller content creators. And I'm like, the people with millions of followers don't need it. Give us little content creators a little handout wherever you can, especially if you find it helpful, because chances are if you found it helpful, someone else probably found it helpful, or will find it helpful, should I say. And if you haven't already, maybe give the show a like, a subscribe and a rating. It goes a long way in helping small content creators like me spread a very important message. Well, I would consider it to be an important message. So without further ado, here we go with episode 15 of the Or So She Says podcast, my beef with slimming clubs. Okay. So I'm actually going to start today by reading out some comments I received a few weeks back when I actually put up a question box asking about people's experiences with various slimming clubs. And this is what I received. So one person said, the feeling of shame if the numbers on the scale didn't reflect how good, in inverted commas, I had been all week. A next person said, I saw food as a sin, which was so unhealthy. I have always put the weight back on. It is just not sustainable. This next one actually made me want to cry. She was told to stop going to the gym as gaining muscle was making the scales go up. I was like, oh my God. Someone else said it was just a roller coaster. I could have a good week and still get bad results, in inverted commas. Someone said I used to starve myself the night before and the morning of the weigh-in with no water even. And I was also obsessed with the scales, had a very bad relationship with food and a very bad relationship with the scales. And someone else said that they used to like half starve themselves all day until the weigh-in. And then after the weigh-in, they would pick up a takeaway and a bottle of wine. And they were like, I think that kind of says everything as to how well that went. And then I actually had a client send me a message in WhatsApp and they were like, literally, you'll die. This was my meal prep for lunch and dinner for the week, and it was cauliflower rice, not rice, and obviously no meat because she was vegan at the time. If you could see the pictures of her food that she was eating, it was the most miserable pile of shite I've ever seen in my life. I was like, that would make me depressed. Like, I'd last a week on that and I'd be done, which happened to me in all of the million diets I have tried over the years. I lasted about a week and I was like, nah, fuck this. I actually love food too much to be doing this to myself. And she also said, I used to have couscous made with almond milk for breakfast because they were less sins than oats. And I was like, oh my God, are you for real? Like, oats are amazing, such a good source of fiber. So anyway, as you can tell from the above statements, not many great things to say. And the reason why I get so amped up about all of this is because it is coaches like myself and other coaches who care about their fucking clients. I'm going to do a little segue here and do a cough. Not coaches who are just dishing out stupid fucking 1,200 calorie meal plans, okay? If a coach is giving you a meal plan and they're just saying that's all you can eat, this is just as bad as the Slimming Clubs. They're not actually teaching you anything about nutrition. And if you're not going to learn the fundamentals of nutrition, you're just always going to be on the yo-yo diet bandwagon, okay? But it's good coaches that actually care about their clients that end up having to pick up the pieces of people working with really shit coaches. Sorry, I'm going to be really blunt in today's episode, so I'm probably going to get backlash for today's episode, but something I'm very passionate about, because over my last few years of coaching, like, my heart is broken with some of the stuff my clients are coming to me with like relationship with food and the scales and stuff. Like, they're distraught over it. And I'm like, there's these multi-million-dollar businesses that are literally, their ads are everywhere. Their ads are over in the shopping centre over there. And I'm like, I just can't fathom how, like, they're not being pulled up a little bit more with the destructive things that they are doing to people's mindset around food. I would say 90% of clients who start with me have actually got a really terrible relationship with the scales. Like, it completely dictates their happiness. And they have a very turbulent relationship with food, right? So they either fall into the category that I would see of all or nothing, good and bad foods. They're on it or they're off it. The diet starts Monday. They're either on that bandwagon, or they fall into the emotional eating self-sabotage bracket, which they kind of overlap a bit, but I tend to see the emotional eating and self-sabotage really, really overlapping a lot, okay? But then again, you could tie that into the all or nothing thinking. Now look, I'm 34 years old. I grew up with fucking Kate Moss as the person we were inspiring to look like as a teenager. So believe me when I tell you, up until about 5 years ago, I was still falling victim to all of the above diets. And I did attend one slimming club one time and never went back. I was just like, this makes no sense, because even though I had a really bad relationship with the scales, the meeting was at 7 o'clock in the evening. So even I knew, I was like, hold on a minute. So you're weighing me every week after I've had my breakfast, lunch and dinner. But like, if I weigh myself in the morning, I'm different. Now, even at the time, I had a terrible relationship with food, but even I knew that made no sense, because I was like, I'm obviously going to be heavier in the evenings. And even if you're weighing me at the same time every week, what I ate today is not going to be the exact same thing I ate last week. So it makes no sense. Anyway, I want you to think for a minute how much time, money and energy you have spent over the years trying to find the perfect diet and exercise program. If it's anywhere near the amount I spent back in the day, we are talking thousands. And not to mention the hours of heartbreak, hunger, feelings of disappointment and failure that accompanied the ever-growing hole in my pocket. And all the while, my jeans were just getting tighter. They were not getting any looser. But now, thanks to education and empowerment, I have complete food freedom and I have a fantastic relationship with food. I train smarter and not harder, so I don't dread exercise. I don't dread the gym anymore. I literally go to the gym maybe 3-4 times a week for about 45 minutes, okay? Maybe an hour max if I have time at the weekend. And outside of that, I just like to walk, do some yoga. Sometimes I might throw in a little bit of cardio, but I used to be killing myself with cardio every single day of the week. I'm in better shape now than I've ever been, and I eat and train to nourish my body, not punish it. So I also eat more food than I ever have, and no food is on the naughty list, and my jeans fit better than ever, right? Now, the reason why I'm telling you this, why am I telling you this? Because this happened through education, not through any diet and exercise program. And that is why I'm launching a new program. And I've actually got one element of it that's an entire course section that has lectures on everything people need to know about training, nutrition, and mindset. Because I truly believe if you give a man a fish he eats for a day, you teach a man to fish he eats for life. And it's all about understanding not just the how to do things, but the why we're doing it. Because the feedback I got from people who did do the program when I ran it as a trial after Christmas was people were saying it was so helpful to know why I'm actually doing things and not just a coach telling me to do something. I understand the why behind it. So now we have that out of the way, we're going to talk about the first question. What is a slimming club? On the off chance that you don't know what it is, what is it, okay? So they're popular, very popular weight loss programs founded on the principle of promoting healthy eating habits and sustainable lifestyle changes. And the approach is rooted in the belief that successful weight management involves more than just counting calories. It's about adopting a balanced diet, forming supportive communities, and embracing a positive mindset. Okay, I already will disagree with some of this, but because I am trying to be as fair as possible, when I talk about this today, I will talk about the few pros that they do have and that I do see as pros, okay? However, what I will point out straight from the start is they talk about weight loss. Weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. So when people think about changing their body size, they instantly now think about weight loss instead of fat loss. And what people actually want, and I had a call with a client yesterday and she was telling me a number on the scales that she wanted to be. And I asked her, I was like, well, instead of telling me a number on the scales that you want to be, why don't you tell me a dress size you'd like to be? And she gave me that. And I was like, and how would you like to feel when you are in that dress size? Say you fit into these jeans and they feel really good and you feel really confident. Is that not a better goal to have than an arbitrary number on a scales? You could get to that number, but feel like absolute shit. And you might not actually look as good as if we focused on other markers, because weight loss and fat loss are not the exact same thing. And I'll talk about that a little bit further down. So instantly off the bat, they're talking weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. Whereas I'm like, education will inform people that actually what most people want is fat loss, okay? It's not just about a number on a scales. It's about changing your body composition. And that's actually down to fat loss, not weight loss. So how do these slimming clubs work? They're based on the idea of food optimizing, okay? So it encourages members to enjoy a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods while controlling portion sizes. So the plan emphasizes filling up on free foods, or you use points, or whatever one it's going with, okay? And these foods are usually low in energy density, but high in satiety, okay? So what that means is they are low in calories, actually. Oh my God, we don't count calories, but here you go. We're actually just wording it a different way. It's actually low in calories. High in satiety means very filling. So fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. All of these foods are very filling, and because they're either got a high fiber content or a high protein content, okay? So in a way, these foods provide fiber and essential nutrients and help to manage hunger and cravings, okay? And in fairness, they do try to promote minimally processed foods, okay? So I'm going to go through some pros as I go through how it works. The pros here are every single fucking person on this planet could do with increasing their protein intake, increasing their fiber intake, and on top of that, increase in fruit and vegetables, increase in whole grain products, and swapping these out, and probably cutting back on the takeaways and probably cutting back on highly processed food. Not the highly processed food is bad, right? People start freaking out about white bread. I literally ate 5 slices of white bread yesterday because I'm due my period, and I was like, I want fucking white bread toasted with butter, and that's fine. But wherever I can, I try to opt for whole grain, because you're getting a bit more fiber in it, and that's just going to help keep you feeling fuller for longer, okay? But it's about not cutting foods out. So I'll give them this. Trying to promote people to eat more fruit and vegetables, more lean proteins and whole grains is great, okay? So that is great. So I'll give them that. I'm going to talk about the pros as I go through the systems. So then they talk about, depending on the system we're using, sins, points, okay? And then healthy extras. So this is talking about like treats and indulgences. Instantly, I don't like that word indulgences, right? Because it makes it sound like it's something bad. And treats aren't so bad. I don't like people saying like cheat, but I don't mind my clients saying treat because there's nothing to cheat on. You don't need to do cheat days, cheat meals. Like fuck that as well, okay? But this is kind of the idea of, this falls into the narrative of telling people. Now, sins in fairness is short for synergy, okay? So I think they're trying to do some correlation here with calories or whatever. Anyway, but you think of a sin, you think of something bad. Come on, most of us brought up in Western culture where, like, maybe you went to the Catholic school system or whatever. You think of a sin, you think of it as bad, okay? And from the statements earlier, it makes sense that, like, people instantly think of this as something bad. So we are now falling into the narrative again of good and bad food. However, to focus on the positives of this, they talk about the healthy extras, including measured sizes of calcium-rich products and fiber-rich whole grains, okay? So what I will say here is, even though I don't agree with the names and the points and stuff like that, the fact that they don't ask you to completely cut out any food group is good, as opposed to, like, say, keto, no carb, the cabbage soup diet, all these things. Like, they tell you can't have this, you can't have this, you can't have this. And instantly, I always use the psychological principle. Tell someone not to think of a pink elephant. What are they going to think of? Pink elephant. Someone tells me I can't have chocolate. And I'm like, well, now all I want is chocolate. So, you know, at least they don't tell people you can't have anything at all, okay? So they'll say about the group environment. So it states that they foster a supportive community environment where members share their experiences, challenges, and successes. And the company ethos emphasizes the importance of mutual support, encouragement, and accountability in achieving weight loss goals. Now, I will say the pros here are the power in community and a common struggle. So if a lot of people have a similar goal and they have this shared goal, but they have these same struggles, then there's a lot of power in community. However, I'm going to bring it back to what a lot of people were saying, this shame of getting up and standing in front of the scales. I can't get my head around this at all. Like, I don't see how that's a supportive thing at all. And then shaming someone for not changing on the scales, like, it's just bizarre. But anyway, I'll give them this. There is power in community and people probably make a lot of friends there. And I do think having someone that you can talk to about your struggles is really important. I would probably advise maybe going and joining with a coach or something, or going to the gym and getting a community like that. But each to their own. I will say power in community and a shared goal, will give them that as a pro. So they outline about the importance of developing a positive mindset and making sustainable behaviour changes. Okay, so it encourages members to focus on things like improved energy levels and mood and overall well-being, in addition to weight loss. But I would say that that's counterintuitive if your entire focus is stepping on a scale every week. However, if there are things that they're talking about in this where they do genuinely tell people to celebrate non-scale victories, then that's great. I don't know. I only lasted one day in one, so I actually have no idea. And maybe Aoife can answer this a little bit more later, because she actually was in it for a while. But if the whole focus is this way in, I don't see how you can then, it's just, what's the word? Not ironic, but something like that. It's like you're telling people that, oh, we're going to celebrate these non-scale victories, but actually the entire focus of this meeting is that number needs to go down. So it's kind of counterintuitive. But anyway, so now we've talked about how it kind of works, and also we've talked about some of the pros. Now I'm going to get into the nitty gritty of it, how it works and why it works for some people, okay? If you have not listened to my episode on Fat Loss 101, go and listen to that if you want a full in-depth discussion about fat loss. And I mean, it's probably one of my most popular episodes because I literally go fucking neck deep into everything you need to know about fat loss, okay? I'm going to kind of summarize it a little bit here. If you have ever done a diet and it has worked, it is because you are in a calorie deficit. What is a calorie deficit? Right. We can't talk about a calorie deficit without talking about energy balance. Energy Balance 101 is the first lecture in my nutrition course. And until you can get your head around this, you will be forever wondering why you gain and lose weight. And you'll never get your head around the fact that it's so much more than just what you eat, okay? And do an exercise. So energy in, calories in, right, is pretty simple, okay? Everything you put in your mouth. So we've got food, we've got alcohol, we've got fizzy drinks that are not no calorie drinks, all of these things. There's no food out there that doesn't have calories, okay? Now there's some very, very low calorie stuff, but everything you put into your mouth. And this is the thing that gets people. They think liquid calories don't count. I'm like, boy, oh boy, are you wrong? Because, whoa, when I realised how much liquid calories was in everything, I completely understood all of the fat gain, all of the weight gain in college. Anyway, so calories in, pretty simple. Calories out has 4 components. People think it's just the exercise, but actually the exercise is the smallest part of this. So the first thing we have is our resting metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories our body requires to keep us alive every single day. And that is actually a lot higher than people think. No matter what size your body is, you'd be very surprised how many calories your body needs every day just to keep you alive, to keep functions going, okay? The other thing we have then after that is our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? Which is our NEAT activity, which is all the activities you carry out outside of intentional exercise, which actually burns way more calories than our actual physical exercise. And I'll get on to why we shouldn't be focusing solely on calorie burn in our physical exercise next. Just to point out, if you want to focus on a calorie burn, you should be increasing your steps. You should be increasing your activity. Take the stairs, park a bit further from the shop, do some laps of the office, right? All of these things are going to way more equate to a calorie burn than what you're doing in the gym. Most people are like going to the gym every night, going for an hour, but they're completely negating anything they're doing for the rest of the day because they think, oh, well, that's fine. I went to the gym. That's it. So they might have a step count of like 2,000. And I'm like, no, actually, by not increasing your NEAT activity, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. So the next one then we have is our EAT activity, which is our exercise activity thermogenesis, which is our intentional exercise, which is our weightlifting, it is our yoga, it is our HIIT classes, it's running, it's everything, right? The focus of this should not be calorie burn. Yes, you burn more calories in your HIIT workout than you do in your strength training, but you should be focusing on building muscle here. No matter what age you are, no matter what your goal is, your goal should be to maintain or build muscle, because the more muscle you have in your body, the more you're going to increase your resting metabolic rate, the more food you can eat and not gain weight, right? Put in the most simplest terms. I explained this way more in the Fat Loss podcast, but put quite simply, I can eat more food now than I could 10 years ago and stay at the same body composition, same body size, because I have more muscle in my body now because I lift weights. Whereas back 10 years ago, I was just doing cardio. So I had less muscle in my body. So if I was eating what I ate, say, 10 years ago now, I'd probably be dropping body fat. Or vice versa, if I ate 10 years ago what I eat now, I'd probably be gaining body fat because I actually didn't have as much muscle in my body. So my resting metabolic rate was actually lower. So our focus of physical exercise should always be build and maintain muscle mass. Best way to do that, lift weights, progressive overload. The last thing then is something that not a lot of people know about, and I didn't know about until I actually did my nutrition course, is the thermic effect of food. So it's like the actual calories that your body requires to break down food in the body. And the highest one that takes the most energy, protein. So it makes sense then, once again, why we should be aiming for a higher protein diet. So, okay, we now understand energy in and energy out. And we get that there's a little bit more to it than just eat less, move more. But what is a calorie deficit? Okay, a calorie deficit is when you are taking in less energy than you are burning. So the calories inside is lower than the calories outside. And this then results in people dropping body fat, and thus they lose weight. Well, they lose fat, weight, fat, interchangeably here, okay? But I've already outlined they are slightly different, and I will talk about it a little bit more further down. Now, we understand the calorie deficit. Calorie surplus on the plus side is when we are taking in more food than we are burning, and this causes us to gain weight, gain body fat. The reason why these slimming clubs really work for people in larger bodies is because straight away, by swapping out a lot of the food they're already eating for high protein foods, lean protein sources, for swapping out foods that are higher in fiber, eating more fruit and vegetables, they are creating a calorie deficit. And if I have someone who is 100 kilos, for them to create a calorie deficit, they could still be well into the 2000s calories and they'd still be in a deficit. If I have someone who's 50 kilos and they want to create a deficit, if they can't eat as much as the person who's 100 kilos and still drop body fat. Your energy requirements are based off your body size. And it's the one thing you have to take into account when you are calculating calories is someone's body weight, right? Now, a lot of other factors come into play here when it comes to actually using calorie calculators and stuff like that, because they really are just kind of a starting point and you have to assess whether it works because everyone is different. I could have someone who's 60 kilos and does a load of weight training and they're able to have their maintenance calories at like 2,500. But I have someone who doesn't really lift weights or anything, 2,500 would be a surplus for them, okay? So it comes down to how much muscle and stuff you have in your body as well. But put quite simply, someone in a larger body and they make these swaps to their diet, they've created quite a big calorie deficit without even trying. I'm not saying you have to track calories, you absolutely do not. But you do need to understand energy balance, because then you will understand why you're doing the things you're doing. And the thing about it is most people do really well on these when they start and then they plateau and they can't get by the plateau. The reason why you hit the plateau is because when your body changes and you are now in a smaller body, which I'm not saying is better or worse, whatever, everyone's entitled to their goals, your energy requirements change. Again, I'm going to use the example, right? If someone's 100 kilos and they walk 100 meters, or someone's 50 kilos and they walk 100 meters, the person who has to walk 100 meters weighing 100 kilos is using more energy because they have to carry the 100 kilos. And if I have the 50 kilo person walking 100 meters, they use less energy to walk the 100 meters. So your energy requirements change based on your body type. So most people will get really frustrated because they're doing the same thing they always did, but it's not working anymore. And actually it probably is still working, but because you're so obsessed with the scales, you think it's not working. So the most important thing to realize is, because I am a coach who picks up the pieces after people are left scarred from these clubs with like these scale obsessions, terrible relationships with food, I couldn't not talk about the cons. Now, I've already kind of touched on them, but the one that stood out for me, I'm sorry, I'm not saying all clubs do this, but when that client of mine was told not to exercise, I threw my phone away. I was like, I'm sorry, but what? Because the thing about it is, and I'm not shitting on the people who are trying to help people who are in charge of these clubs, but a lot of them, they've done this and it's worked for them and it's great. But they don't have qualifications in nutrition. A lot of them don't understand energy balance. They don't understand actually the mechanisms behind if it works, why it works. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, I know why this worked for some people, because it creates a calorie deficit. I'm not saying these diets work because of the diet or promoting the diet. I'm saying every diet that ever worked because you were in a calorie deficit. It's energy balance 101 is the first thing I teach. So another con here I'm going to say is sustainability. In my opinion, and I will say this, and it's the hill I'll die on, you can say a diet and exercise program worked, but if you weren't able to sustain it after you finished, it didn't fucking work, right? It's not sustainable. It doesn't work. So some critics argue that the emphasis on strict dietary rules and group accountability may not be sustainable in the long term for all individuals. And research actually suggests that while structured programs can lead to initial weight loss, maintaining these changes over time can be challenging, especially without ongoing support and resources. So what I would argue here is they hit the plateau and they're getting shit every week for the scales not going down, but they're still doing the same thing they always did. But the coach coaching them doesn't understand why it's not working anymore. They just think they're not sticking to it. But actually their energy requirements change. So even if they are eating the same amount of sin-free food, same points, whatever it is, it's not working anymore because their energy requirements change. Okay? The next thing is the focus on weight loss over anything else, right? The whole focus is on achieving a lower number on the scales, which may or may not always align with overall health improvements. I can say in the past, I have weighed the lightest I ever was, and I was probably the most unhealthy I ever was. I was fucking starving myself. And I got down to, I can't even remember what the actual number was, but because I honestly pay no attention to the scales, I pay attention to my clothes. If I am trying to do a cut or something, I'll use measurements and I go by that because it tells me way more than the scales. However, when I used to be obsessed with the scales, actually here's a perfect example. I broke my fucking jaw 10 years ago and I literally could not eat solid food. I was like a rake. So I was the lowest weight I ever was. But I was so unhealthy, I couldn't eat, I was starving. I was literally sucking on pasta just to try and have some solids, like it was awful. So completely saying that the lowest number on the scales is the healthiest you're ever going to be is absolute bullshit, right? And here's something I'm going to point out because, oh my God, people are so fixated on scale weight. Just listen to this, of how many things influence scale weight. Your hydration levels, the food intake that you've had, the volume of food, hormonal fluctuations. You're going to weigh different amounts at different times of the month, okay? I'm due my period now. I'm about 1.5 kilos heavier on the scales because of water retention. Muscle mass changes, okay? Even the time of day or the time of the month that you're going to weigh yourself, like the toilet habits. Have you gone to the toilet today? Other factors that can come into play are like sleep, stress, certain medications can also play an impact in this. And it's so essential to consider these variables when assessing changes on the scale and then realizing that you cannot rely on it to measure your progress, okay? The scales are so deceiving. And the perfect example I love to give all the time, you go out on a night out and you go drink vodka all night and you were bold, so you didn't have your dinner and you get on the scales the next day and you're down about 1.5 kilos. You haven't lost 1.5 kilos after your fucking night out. I don't care how much dancing you did in the nightclub. You did not lose that. You're extremely dehydrated and 2 days later it's back up. Maybe it's up a little bit further because you have water retention because you were dehydrated. So that's a really good marker for people when they realise that. Because I used to step in the scales after a night out and be like, oh my God, I'm like down 1 kilo. This is class. And then 2 days later it was up more than it was before. And I was like, oh shit. I was just dehydrated. Like, that's just it. Like, and the more you can see it for what it is, this is arbitrary number on the scales that literally is telling you a number at that time, like based on so many factors, like how much salt you're actually consuming has an impact on it, how much carbs you're having, not because carbs are bad, carbs are amazing. Listen to the fat loss episode, I talk about this in detail, but 1 gram of carbohydrates holds on to 3 grams of water. So people cut out carbs completely from their diet and they think they've lost a load of weight really quickly. You've actually just, well, firstly, you've cut out an entire macronutrient, so you probably have created a larger calorie deficit, but you also have lost a lot of water weight because you're no longer holding on to water. And actually, carbs are really important for training and for energy and stuff like that. I did keto twice. I dropped 0.5 stone on the scales and then put it on straight away when I started eating carbs again. And I was like, well, and I didn't understand energy balance at the time. And I just thought, oh yeah, keto. I was like, what the fuck? I actually didn't look any different. And I was like, oh, looking back on it now, literally just water weight because I cut out carbs because I eat a lot of carbs. Like, a lot. Like, probably about 200 to 250 grams of carbs a day. Easily. So the other thing is the potential for disordered eating. Now, this I can attest to because I see it all the time with clients who sign up to me. The emphasis on food restriction and rigid dietary guidelines in these clubs can contribute to the development of disordered eating patterns in susceptible individuals. And research has shown a correlation between participation in weight loss programs and increased risk of disordered eating behaviors such as binge eating or orthorexia. And orthorexia is an obsession with healthy eating with associated restrictive behaviors. So it's like good, bad food, obsessed with this good, bad food thing. The other thing then is body image concerns. So this may actually inadvertently perpetuate societal ideas of thinness, promote a negative body image among its participants, and can leave people feeling pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. So what I would say here is, Jesus, like, come on, if you grew up as a woman, chances are you probably had your fair share of negative body image days, weeks, months, years, right? Up until very recently, I could pinpoint every little part of my body that I fucking hated and wanted to change. And when I used to look at all them magazines, I was like, I just want to look like her. I'm 5'0" with an arse and hips. I was never going to look like Kate Moss. Like, let's get the boat. Now, it just so happens that I would be considered a fashionable body type now because of the Kardashians having an arse and hips, and that's what everyone wants now. But, well, I don't care anymore. But I mean, like, when I was a teenager, it was all about being stick thin. Like, we're talking heroin chic was the vibe. And that's what we were being bombarded with. And it's that constant thinner equals better narrative. Now, I am not against fat loss. And most people could probably do with implementing a lot more healthful behaviors into their life. And then as a byproduct of that, fat loss usually happens, okay? But constantly pushing the narrative that thinner equals better does not take into account that sometimes thinner is actually very unhealthy. So it's actually, I would rather push people to be focusing on self-love and compassion and body appreciation. Doing things because they love their body, not because they hate it. Exercise because you love it, not because you hate it. Eat nice food. Eat good food. I eat out at least once a week. Most of the time twice a week, depending on the week. Like, there's no food off the table, but because I've educated myself so much in all things nutrition, this doesn't stress me out anymore because I'm like, this is fine. I actually put up a post this week about saying how I don't track calories, I don't use a smartwatch, I don't track my workouts, I don't track my menstrual cycle, right? Blah, 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 because I did it for years. I did these things for years. So I actually am in a position now where I don't need to do it anymore. I know exactly how much I need to walk or how much I need to train or how much food I can eat. I know all this and I listen to my hunger cues and stuff, but only because I educated myself for years and I'm in a position to do it now. So the thing I will say is, while these clubs can offer like valuable support and guidance for individuals who are just completely at a loss and they don't know where to start, and it is a great start for some people because they start eating more protein, they eat more fruit and veg, and they're eating more fibre, which is great. Most of the population could do with that. It's also important to consider the potential negative consequences and limitations associated with these programs. And I know I'm probably going to get a bit of backlash on this episode because people are going to be like, well, you didn't mention this and you didn't mention this. And this is why I actually want to talk to Aoife and get her story because she has done all this. So no one can slay her. She's talking about her own experience. I'm just talking about the research I've done and off the back of all the clients I've had to work with and the struggles we've had to go through to overcome negative relationships with food, body and the scales because of these clubs, okay? Like, the thing about it is all of these diets I talk about in these episodes, like, they do work. It's not that they don't work, but they work because you're in a calorie deficit, not because the diet is anything special. And I think the main thing that I would take away from this as well is just because the scales doesn't change, it doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't working. As I said, like, weight loss does not automatically equal fat loss. Look at the hangover example I use. I think it's the best one. And look, it's not sexy, but the hill I will die on is the acronym KEY. Knowledge empowers you. If you can understand the fundamentals of nutrition and training, you will understand why you've ever gained weight, you've ever lost weight, you've ever maintained weight. And it's why I've actually included an entire education portal in my new program, Radiant and Resilient, which I'm actually launching next week and I'm so excited. So I think education is so important because I can't be told how to do something No, sorry. I can't be told that I need to do something without understanding how and why to do it. So I am a firm believer in the fact that if you understand why you're doing something, you're more inclined to stick with it. And it's why I've included a whole like course section in this, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end if anyone is interested. But that is enough from me right now. I just want to sum up here that I've talked about how they kind of work and why they work for certain people and the potential negative consequences that I have seen firsthand from working with clients. But I also do think I don't like shitting on things that are actually trying to, in some way, shape or form, promote a little bit more of a healthy lifestyle. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about some of the pros as well. But I'm very excited now to talk to Aoife and get her story. So without further ado, I will park it there and let's go chat with Aoife. Hello, Aoife. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine, thank you.
How's your week going?
How you see I get all shy now. This is
Yeah.
this is when I get all shy.
I give you 5 minutes and you're going to be like, blah, 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 and I'm going to be like, yes.
Once the camera starts, I'm like, oh no.
It's always the way though. It's the first couple of minutes. Even when I'm recording podcasts just with myself, the first few minutes I'm like really thinking about it. Even when I'm talking about what I do, and I'm like, what do I do? And then I get into it. And
What's my job?
who am I? Are those my feet? Oh. How are you finding this week? I feel like everyone's up the walls this week.
This week has actually been great. I've just finished placement, so yeah, I've been flat out. I've been interim conjure for placement, public health nurse, and yeah, it's just been busy. I've went to the gym every day though. I've been in like beast animal mode. I don't know why. Like I've just been on a mad one.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And she's not just saying that because she's my client. I actually know she has been. You've been more than me. Well, actually, no, that's a perfect little start. So tell me about yourself. What do you do? I know you're studying. Tell me all about Aoife.
So, hello. My name is Aoife. I'm 29. I'm a Virgo. I I am studying to be a children's nurse, so children's and general nurse in UCD, and that's really it. That's me. I know Narissa since we were, well, not probably since I was a baby, but since she was a little bit older. We did dancing together.
We did. Oh my God. Back in the low fesh days.
My mum used to tell me that you always used to have your little dodie in your mouth.
Dodie and pillow. They went everywhere.
No.
Oh, and I'd kick up holy murder if they weren't at the fesh with me. Like, I wasn't going. I was like, not a chance. I can't dance under these conditions.
You're still the same though.
Yeah, pretty much. I've substituted it for a couple of things, like, but yeah, now I just hold crystals all the time.
I seen that in your post the other day. I thought it was a bit of tinfoil.
I've been having a week, Aoife. I've been having a week. Everyone I'm talking to in, like, you are the only person I've talked to this week who's thriving. I've talked to 3 separate business owners this week who said I felt like packing it all in this week and just getting it all. Yeah. Don't know what it is.
No, because there was a full moon on the 24th. That was a shift in the whole kind of moon phase. But this, I don't know, this week has been great.
We're in an eclipse season, also Mercury retrograde, so we've got a bit of that. Now, it also didn't help that I went to a mad one on Sunday celebrating the engagement and I don't drink anymore, so that took me 3 days.
That's okay.
I was in a hole. I couldn't get out of. But anyway, we're fine now. We're back to here. Yeah. So you are studying full time and you're also working as well.
Yes, I also work. I work in one of the children's hospitals as a healthcare assistant. And yeah, so I'm busy. Like I could be on 6 days a week, 7 days a week, depending, because I don't get paid for placement. Yeah. Boo.
Love the education system.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, so like I was on public health nurse this week, so it was like 5 short days. Short days are like 9 to 5. So Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And then like I have to cross the tolls to pay to go there. And then, so obviously I have to have a job on top of that.
It's tough though, like literally balancing. This is the thing about it now as well, is like people are literally trying to balance college. They're trying to balance normal jobs and then they have to go on placement and stuff like that. And you're just exhausted, like, and then balancing having a life on top of all that.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hard, like, but I'm getting there.
It's tough, and I think like
Now,
everyone has their struggles. As in, like I think people who have kids will always say, "Oh, well, the kids and stuff like that," and I'm like, no, but I have clients who literally are working nearly full time jobs while in full time education. Like everyone has their things, and everyone seems to be so busy. But I
yeah.
think you navigate it so well. But we'll talk about that at the end. Firstly, I want to know. Tell me your dieting history. I want to know all the diets you've done and tell me all of your great stories.
So I was only thinking of this yesterday. Like I think the first time I ever joined like a slimming club was, I'm gonna say, like 14, 15. Like, and that was like, I think like I'll always remember like the first time I ever noticed that I was bigger than other kids was like, I think I was about 7 and my parents had just divorced. So like I was like, what is this? And I remember that, and I was bullied so bad when I was younger, like by people now, funny enough, who are in the fitness industry now. It wasn't you, Narissa, don't worry.
I don't think I could bully if I tried. Just feel too
But
guilty.
it is like it was like my whole school years, like I was bullied so bad by like guys, mousy guys. They're all dickheads. And sorry, cursing. But yeah, so then I joined one of the slimming clubs and just decided that this was great. I was going to lose loads of weight, and that's kind of when it started. And like I actually, it's actually really sad thinking about it now. Like when I was in, I think I was in fourth year in school. I found one of my old diaries upstairs, and in the back of it, it was like, "I am a whale." This is like, I actually still have the diary up there, and it was like, I am a whale. Today I'm going to eat, and I ate. I think it was a Kit Kat and a can of Red Bull, which would have been like the equivalent of Monster, like a can of Red Bull, and that's all I used to eat for like a week. It could be like, it just depended on what I was in, like, and I had that written down in my diary, like, and I think that's really when it started. Like I used to be like, I used to just not eat, and like there's probably a lot of people that don't really know this, like, and then like I would come home and I might have eaten my dinner. I actually don't remember, but I remember, like, I know that that diary is up there and it still says that. And then I ended up losing loads of weight. So that was the first time I'd lost loads of weight, and that was probably 16. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. You look great. You look fantastic." And I was like, "This is great." I was like, "I'm going to get a boyfriend. Yay. Everyone's going to love me." And then I put the weight back on. And same thing happened then. Same thing happened when I went into college. I left school at 18 and went straight to a PLC to do beauty therapy. And one of the girls was telling me, "Oh, I'm in this slimming club. I lost X amount of weight." And I was like, "This is great. I'm going to do it again." And same thing happened. I lost whatever. I can't even remember how much weight I lost. And then everyone was like, "Oh my God, you look amazing again." Put the weight back on. And then I moved to Australia. And when I moved to Australia, can't remember. I don't really remember. I was like, I had long blonde hair and I had fake nails on, so I was really different. But I was very much about my appearance. And I think I was quite on the heavier side then, but I didn't really notice it. So then when I went to Australia, one day I just decided to become a vegan. I was like, "Do you know what? I'm just going to become a vegan. This is a great way to lose weight." I actually watched a documentary on Netflix. It wasn't even for I told everyone it was for animals, but it wasn't. It was for losing weight. And then eventually I was like, "Oh no, I like animals and I can't tell anyone I'm doing this to lose weight." And I ended up losing loads of weight. And then I came home from Australia and everyone's same again. "Oh my God, you look amazing." Meanwhile, up here, Aoife was like, not Aoife. Aoife was not Aoife in. She was not there. Like, like I was so unhappy, like just just constantly worried, I suppose, about my weight. And then when I came home from Australia, I actually had, that's probably when the worst of the worst came. Like I came home from Australia and COVID hit. So I got a job straight away when I came home from Australia, which was great, kept me occupied. But I ended up losing loads of weight. And that was through my final journey in the slimming clubs, my final one. But I'll never forget it. Like I was only saying this to nurses the other day, like I used to eat couscous for breakfast instead of porridge because I was like, no, porridge is so bad for you. And then I used to always have like, I remember them telling me like, if you had a can of Coke, like a full fat can of Coke, I'd never drink full fat can of Coke anyway, but that was your whole like points or whatever it's called for the whole day. So like you actually can't have anything else for the rest of the day if you have a can of Coke. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, that's awful. Like, and I ended up keeping the weight off for about, I think it was, I think it was maybe a year, but it was really unsustainable, like very unsustainable. Um, and I suppose I was just really unhappy. Like I ended up going on anxiety medication. I had I couldn't sit down. Like if I sat down, I would be like, no, I need to go get my 10,000 steps. And it was like becoming so obsessive. And I noticed it in probably the January 2021, I think it was. And I noticed it then. And that's when I went to the doctors. Doctors put me on anti-anxiety medication and sent me to therapy for a year. And my therapist was like, yeah, you have like just really bad relationships with food, but never gave me kind of the tools to sort it out. Like I was still eating less, and I used to, it sounds really bad, but I used to watch, you ever watch My 600 Pound Life?
I think I've seen an episode, yeah.
I was like obsessed. I was obsessed with it in the most unhealthiest way ever. My therapist was like, you really need to stop watching these because it was just making me, it was giving me being like, oh yeah, I don't want to eat. This is great. I'll watch this because I don't want to eat. And then it came to, when was it? I'm trying to think now. So then I ended up going on the anxiety medication. And then I think I got into a relationship, and that relationship didn't end up working out. And between that point and me being in that relationship, I think I'd put on, hold on, I worked this out last night. I think it was 44 pounds. I think it was 20 kilos. That was the last time. I was like, I actually can't do this anymore. I was drinking every day. When the relationship split up, I was drinking. I was like, this is great. I'll have a bottle of Prosecco every night. It's fine. It's grand. I was loved getting drunk on my own. Like, loved it. I used to be like just sitting at home chilling. I'd be like, this is great. And then it gave me like an excuse to text people and be like, haha, I'm drunk. Yeah. And then, yeah, so then I joined Narissa. I stopped drinking after a holiday I went on with the girls. Nothing really happened. I just decided to stop drinking. I didn't want to. That was in after my birthday last year. And I still haven't drank since. And then I've been with Narissa. She's changed my life.
We're not going to talk about that yet, though. We're going to talk about the good stuff at the end, okay? Because there was so much there I want to unpack. Because I'm just like, firstly, I kind of want to cry.
Sorry, I'll just stop there.
Let me clear my throat a bit there. But what I would like to take it back to is, firstly, and this is such a thing in society still today, it's getting better, but the older generation still, like, they're just constantly commenting on people dropping body fat, having no idea what that person is doing to get to that body weight, is probably one of the things that has all of us so fucked up. Everyone thinks thinner is better. And I actually talked about this on the part of the podcast before we started talking. When I was at my lightest, I had a broken jaw. I couldn't fucking eat solid food. I was so unhealthy. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't eat solid food. So I was like, if we are constantly perpetrating that narrative that thinner is better, and you're commenting when people lose weight, this is genuinely what I see as a common trend among people when they start working with me as well, is they get on the diet and exercise bandwagon and they're flying it. And something I really try to work on, well, you'll know this as well, is trying to control the expectations, because I'm like, it's really not easy, but kind of easy to do this for 6 or 8 weeks, right? Which is why I try to get away from people thinking of 6 and 8 week challenges. It's what happens after that. All of a sudden you start dropping this body fat and people start commenting on your weight. Now, in fairness, when you're working with a good coach, you are doing all the right things, okay? But it still becomes scary for people because they've been there before and they've had people commenting on this before. All of a sudden then there's this fear of putting it back on. And we have this constant fear narrative in our heads of someone saying, oh, that person's put on weight. Did you hear your parents and your aunties and your uncles? And did you see so-and-so's after putting on a pile of weight? And I'm like, I can't listen to this now. I'll walk out of the room. I'm like, you've no idea what that person's going through in their life.
I have 2 little nieces, like, and I hope that they never have to grow up being like that. Like, I think I'll always be the auntie that will never, like, I would never, what's the word, comment on their body weight. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
yes, the smaller one could be a bit pudgy, but that's baby fat. It's so cute. You know, she'll grow into it. She's fine. But
Yeah.
it's, yeah, no, like my mum's going to hate me for saying this, but she is the number one culprit. She still would do it to me. Like, and I don't think she means it from a bad way at all. Like, but it's a generational thing. Like, she will say to me, "Oh my God, you're actually losing loads of weight. Like, only if you just lost a bit more on your belly, or if you just lost a bit more on your back." But I don't, I would say to her, like, "Oh, don't say it to me." And then she'd get annoyed. And
Yeah.
then I would be like, "But it's not, I'm not saying this from a bad place. She actually doesn't understand it herself, though." She said to me last night, I don't know her, she's on this new diet plan. I'm trying to tell her about calories. Like, you can have calories, mum. And she's like, "Oh, how many calories do you want?" And I was like, X, Y, and Z. And she was like, "Oh, like, I have like 1,000. She actually said a decent number. Normally she says 1,200. Like, normally 1,200 is just a number she pulls from her head.
Yeah.
But she said a decent amount. And she was like, "And I've had 89 grams of protein today." And I was like,
Yes. Sorry, am I cutting all this out? Because I just
you can put it in. I'll let her know. Don't worry. I'll send her. I'll tell her.
Well, no, I was actually going to go back and say, in fairness, and I will stand up for the generation that are a little bit older, because they grew up with this. That's all they know. And I know from working with clients between the ages of, say, 18 to 25, right? They operate in a certain way. And actually, the things that we're dealing with are a lot different. Then you have the, say, 25 to maybe 40 bracket, where we're falling into. Now, we grew up with Kate Moss and all as our idols, and they're the people you want to aspire to.
Not in that age group.
Oh, well, you're not in that age group, right? But fuck me, 25, like, as in, like, 25 foot, 5 foot nurse. I wish 25. 5 foot nurse was never going to look like Kate Moss. Like, I have an arse and hips, and it's grand now because that's in fashion with the Kardashians. And I was like, this is why fashionable body shapes are a load of bullshit as well. Now you have stick thin people who are trying to get arse implants because they can't build a bum. And I was like, it's just mad.
You can't win.
No,
I've realised you actually can't win. I've been the skinniest that I've ever been. And I still was single at that point. And I've been so unhappy when I was that weight. Like, I actually was my unhappiest at that weight.
Yeah.
And then when I was the biggest I've ever been, I was grand. Like, I was grand. And now I'm really happy.
Yeah. But I think it all comes down to, it's like, it's not about the diet and exercise. It's if this becomes a lifestyle thing. And I would say, like, maybe 2-3 years ago, I got really obsessed with the fitness and nutrition because COVID was on and I was doing nothing else, right? But then in between there and then, I've kind of found a bit more balance, and I wouldn't be as lean as I was then. But I was like, I'm at a happy place now where I was like, I enjoy my training, I eat my food, I find this body weight quite easy to maintain without too much effort. And I was like, I feel good in my clothes. And I was like, but I'm not even the leanest I've been over the last few years. I was like, so it's got absolutely nothing to do with the body size. It's to do with what is your lifestyle looking like at that time. And yeah, it's great when your clothes start fitting better and you have more energy and when you're feeling fucking really strong in the gym. And yeah, it is great when you're seeing these payoffs of, like, you know, buying the clothes that you want to fit into and feeling more confident. But that alone, without looking at someone's lifestyle, it doesn't tell you anything. Like, it literally doesn't. Someone could have been sick in hospital for 6 weeks on a drip and they go, Jesus, Mary, you've lost loads of weight, you look great. Mary's like, I literally nearly fucking died. Like,
working in the children's hospital as well, like, you have a lot of kids coming in with eating disorders. A lot of kids. And, you know, it breaks my heart as well. Like, you're trying to encourage them, and then you couldn't say the wrong thing to them. You say, you look great. And then they're thinking in their head, shit, I'm after putting on so much weight. Like, oh my God, it's really noticeable. Do you know, like, and you're never saying it from a bad place. I don't think anyone ever is. No. It's just some people just don't really understand how much people have been through, like, do you know?
Yeah. But I actually didn't even know all of you've been through until you shared me those stories. That's why I got really teary.
No, a lot of people actually don't. This is probably the first time I've ever really talked about it.
But it's amazing that you're talking about it, because I started getting a lot more open about talking about. I was like, before I went and studied all this, I was like, I was taking green tea tablets, fully convinced they were why I was losing weight. Other than the fact I was going out cycling, killing myself 7 days a week. I was eating like literally now I wouldn't say salad because you know I hate lettuce, but like chicken and like literally carrots and parsnips for dinner and a smoothie in the morning. And I'm like, it's definitely these fucking green tea tablets. Working a tree cost me a fortune working it. And I was like, and then I educated myself on all this, and I was like, I was fucking miserable. I was going to bed early just to go to sleep because I was so hungry and I just wanted breakfast.
That's exactly with the slimming clubs as well. Like when I remember sometimes there's been loads of different ones that I've went to. But I remember one of them was at 12 midday, and I remember I used to go to bed 6 or 7 the night before. So that's stopped eating at 6, and then I'd wake up and I wouldn't even have water, so much as water, because I was like, I need to be the lowest. And then you'd step on the scales and it'd be like fucking 1 pound up, and you'd be like, no. Or it could go the other way. You could be 3 or 4 pounds down, and they're like, well done. And you're like, I had a vomiting bug, and they're like, that's okay.
That's okay. You did great though. And come here. This is actually a question because I did talk about slimming clubs in the first part of this, but I also outlined that I went to one meeting one time and was like, no, fuck this. Mainly, what?
Why did you go to a slimming club meeting?
Hold on a minute now, right? I have tried every diet under the sun. I worked as a professional dancer. When I say I had the most
fun, sweating.
Oh, I'm sweating too, but it's just really baggy. But I was obsessed, like, for years. I had the worst relationship with my body, the worst relationship with food. And I talk about this a lot on the private podcast, actually, because I know I got you to have a listen to it. But I was like, people think they see me now and they're like, oh, Narissa's never struggled with her weight. And you've always been quite slim. And I was like, oh my God, I literally, I've tried every diet under the sun. I went to a slimming club. The only reason I didn't stick at it was there was something in my brain telling me, if you're measuring me at 7 o'clock at night and I ate breakfast, lunch and dinner today, then how does that make sense? Because even though I was obsessed with the scales at the time, I always would have weighed myself in the morning. So I was like, not saying that this is right or wrong. I talked all about this in the first part about how you can't rely on the scales. But at the same time, something in my head wasn't clicking when it was at 7 o'clock in the evening. That's the only reason I didn't go back. The other thing was, I actually remember now, I did the thing for a week and nothing changed on the scales. And I followed all what they told me to do. Yeah. Nothing changed. Now, I talked about this in the first part where I was like, if someone is in a larger body, right, and you know this because we've gone through all the education around energy balance, right, but for someone to create a deficit in a larger body, without even trying, by substituting these foods, they've created a calorie deficit, right? So I didn't see any difference, so I was like, no, fuck that. And they weren't saying anything about exercise. I didn't think it was the most welcoming community either. I don't think she even said hi and welcome to me. And I was like, so I was trying to outline some positives in the first part of this podcast because I was trying my best to just be on the fence about this a little bit and say some positives. But I was like, I only went to one meeting, so I can't really say. But what was the story like? Was the weigh-in the main part every week?
Yeah, and like you'd go in and there'd be like 2 people at the desk. Like it's not even a desk. It was like a pop-up like paper thing, and like you'd pay your money, you'd give your little card, they'd know what weight you were, they'd know if you've lost any weight, you'd step on the scales, take your shoes off, and then you'd just go and sit down, or they'd say, oh, you put on a bit, or you lost 7 pounds, like and you'd get a sticker. You used to get stickers. So if you, like a fucking child, like you used to get a off a stone sticker and a certificate. And I remember you used to sit around in the circle and everyone would be sitting there and they'd go around to everyone. And they would say, oh, Narissa, you were up 3 pounds this week. What happened? And they were like, oh God, I don't know. Like I went out on Saturday and I had a few drinks. I don't know what happened. And then you could have Mary, and Mary, you've lost 3 pounds this week. Well done. You're our gold member this week. Like, I couldn't even tell you, like it was whoever lost like the most weight in the month. But you also could have someone who was 20 stone and it's not easier for them to lose weight, but they're losing weight at a quicker rate than somebody who is a smaller body size. And they're being praised, and it's hard. And I think, I don't know, it's hard to kind of get my head around it now. Like find I still find when I was in that slimming club, I had such a bad body image. Like I'm still getting around to this. I still have like a folder in my phone that's like dedicated to weight loss.
Okay.
It's all my old pictures. I never really look at them anymore, but it's just there, and I need to delete it. But it means nothing to me, because when I look back on them, I used to be like, oh my God, I look great. And now I look back at them, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I was so
Yeah.
sad in them. I actually I used to wake up every morning before work and used to take a picture of myself, and I would look at it, or else then I'd take a video of myself and look at it. And it was like obsessive. Now I haven't even updated my pictures in probably 2 months. But I know that things are changing, like, you know, and it's not that I'm obsessed with it anymore. It's not, it's just a lifestyle.
But that's it. And that's the thing that actually I said to someone who's signing up in the next intake. I had a call with her last night, and I think she might have tried these clubs as well. And her face when she goes, do I have to do progress photos? And I literally said to her, like, you don't have to do anything you don't want. I was like, look, at the start, people are really regimented. They do their progress photos every week, and they do their measurements every week. And truth be told, I don't take much notice of them for the first few weeks anyway.
Yeah,
it's more for you to keep accountable, right? And yeah, I do look to make sure things are moving in the right direction. But I'm so focused on getting through to people's mindset in the first few weeks, so that when it's finished, they're not just focusing on this. Because if that's all they're focusing on. But I used to do that as well. I used to like look back at photos and be like, oh my God, I looked so skinny there. And I was like, I actually wrote an email thread and I put a photo up in it of me. One of the days I decided I wanted to do a photo shoot backstage. Why did I want to do a photo shoot this day? Because I was coming off the back of having a vomiting bug for 3 days. I was miserable. I had no energy. I had to do the show that night. I nearly collapsed. I was like, let's do the photo shoot today, because I feel really skinny today. I look at it now and I'm like, I look at that and I look at the photo shoot I did for me for my birthday last year, and I compare them side by side, and I'm like, there's no question. Like the photo shoot I did last year, like I was eating I did a very slight calorie deficit, but like coming around period time, there was no deficit. I was like, but I was just training, I was hitting my steps or whatever. Just wanted to feel good I compare them two photos and I'm like, they're worlds apart. Not because I look a million miles different. I was like, I'm so unhappy in that first photo, like miserable.
But like, people don't understand. And as well, like, if I had shown like someone, so I don't know what it was, it came up by somehow. And I was saying to someone, oh, like, God, I put on a good bit of weight. And they were like, really? Like, and I was showing them a picture, and they actually turned around to me. They said, Jesus, what happened? Like, what happened? And then I'm like, kind of like, oh God, well, like this happened. I got into a relationship. Like my dad died. Like life happened. And I totally just fell off the bandwagon. I don't think I was even on a bandwagon. I was just like, I can't even explain to anyone what happened. Like, I think I had cut out foods for so long in my life with being a vegan. Like, I was like, my mom was only saying this to me last night. She was like, you used to come into me and you were like, oh my God, try this fried tofu, or try this. I used to make, oh my God, this just came into my head. I made chocolate hummus one time.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Chocolate hummus. I have the vegan food diary days. I like the stuff I used to make, like chocolate couscous as well. Like, and this is all vegan stuff, so it was all like cocoa powder and stuff like that. And she used to say, "Oh, you used to just ask me to eat." You're making me cough now. We're both coughing. Sorry, and it's kind of and. Yeah, like I can't like, and then when I got back to eating normal food, when I stopped being a vegan, I was like, oh my God, I forgot what pizza tasted like. I forgot what this tasted like. And I just ate everything around me.
Yeah.
And now I went out this morning and I was like, oh, for the podcast, I'm going to buy myself a cinnamon bun and a iced coffee.
Yeah.
And I can still eat that. And I don't feel like shameful for eating that, because I know that it's all cumulative. Like, do you know, I know.
But so we started working together, and in fairness now, what I will say is you have been working you have been working so hard on yourself outside of this, that this was like a final piece of the puzzle for you. Like, you were doing a lot of therapy, you were doing a lot of stuff working on yourself, and then we started working together and the pieces just clicked. I think the big part for you was, even though we were working on the mindset stuff, the education was a massive part for you, because all of a sudden you understood everything and being like, well, and then actually, like, I'm not telling people to eat meat, don't eat meat. Personally, at the moment, I have to be vegetarian for another week, because after you get attuned to Reiki, you're supposed to like stay off meat for 3 weeks. I'm struggling. Like, I fucking love chicken.
my reason for never eating meat, I do love animals, and I do think that we shouldn't eat as much meat, but mine was purely calories.
Yeah.
Really, until like, and it was for the first, I think, month with you as well. Like, I was like, oh, this corn mince has lower calories, so I'll eat this. But it's fucking horrible.
But you know what the thing about it is when you switch from eating these veg, and I'm not shitting on vegetarian project. In fairness, to be vegetarian and stuff, or even vegan at the minute, it's a lot easier than it used to be, and it is easier to get your protein in than it used to be. But by God, if you just eat chicken and you eat like lean mince and all these things, it's so much easier. Like, you can use the corn mince, and I made a veggie bolognese yesterday and it was lovely. But don't get me wrong, first of all, it would have been way nicer with just lean mince, and second of all, there would have been twice as much protein in it, so it would have been more filling. So the thing about it is when we you were like, I think I'm going to start eating chicken, and I never said anything to you. Like, I never said,
do it.
do it, eat the meat. No, in fairness, like, I kept it up until you said, I think I'm going to start eating chicken. And I was like, only if you want it. And then you just messaged me one day, you were like, oh my God, it's so easy to hit your protein when you're eating chicken.
Like, even like, so say if I like had chicken, and they have these hey, I'm obsessed with them now. The ones from, it's not a sponsor. Do you know, from Tesco? Yeah. #ad. It's the barbecue pasta. It was like 60 grams of protein, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so much easier. I don't have to think about it. I used to have to bleed and go around and read the back of everything. I was always like a flexitarian. I had that kind of in my mind. But I think now, like, I would go for a vegetarian option if I wanted to, but like not for the sole reason of it being lower calorie.
But I like that you were actually honest about this, because sorry, I'm still getting over this.
No coffee, oh my God.
I'm still getting over this chest thing, and I swear to God, it like is still lingering 3 weeks later. No, it's a vibe. But I think
proposing to her, making her sick.
Yeah. What are you doing? It's like,
propose the illness on you.
It's like, now you have a viral infection. Love you forever.
You're with me forever now.
But this is the thing, actually, right? Most people associate being vegan and stuff like that with a weight loss thing. Now, I'm not saying everyone. I have friends who genuinely love animals, and they just can't. They cannot bring themselves to eat animal products, and I completely get that, right? But then I have other people that do it because they think it's healthier, right? And I'm like, actually, I was like, from a calorie standpoint, if you understand energy balance and you look at your corn mince or your corn chicken or whatever it is, and don't get me wrong, I've been eating a lot of corn chicken things over the last while, the protein to calorie ratio of them compared to just chicken or lean mince or lean fish, all these things, I was like, it's incomparable. I was like, you have to eat twice as much, with twice the calories to get the same protein. So
we're not bashing vegan. Be a vegan if you want to be a vegan.
But not for weight loss.
Not for weight loss.
It's actually easier to not be a vegan and lose weight if you're eating these things, because like I had a client before who was vegan, and like, oh my God, the hurdles we had to jump through to even make sure, because not only do you have to try and find your vegan protein sources, but you need to pair proteins to get the essential amino acids.
You need your B12. Like, I had to take B12 supplements while I was vegan because, well, not more for a reason I didn't fucking understand why. Someone just told me I had to. But You do, like, and everyone, like, when I think about being vegan again, I don't think I'd ever do it. It's totally like, it totally just messed my mind up.
I really just find the other thing about it is now, this is personal preference as well, but I find eating out hard, not because you have to go for the vegan products, but because firstly, I don't like tofu and
Yeah.
I'm ordering stuff off the menu that I don't like. If I am eating out in a restaurant, and actually it makes me think about the people that go out every week and eat salads even though they want the burger, right? I'm in these restaurants paying money for food, ordering something I actually don't want, when actually I want the thing with the chicken in it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but that's, people are doing that every week when they go to restaurants and ordering salads and stuff. And they're ordering the thing they don't want. And what do they do after the night out? They go back and get loads of pizza and stuff because they didn't order the thing they wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, I always say this, don't think about a pink elephant. Everyone thinks about a pink elephant. You tell someone a pink elephant. I was like, it's like a psychology trick. It's like it's instantly what people think of when you
Like when someone's sneezing and you shout pineapple. They're meant to not sneeze because they think of a pineapple. Yeah.
You just reminded me, I was walking around yesterday in Duns, and I was just actually like looking at these pineapples, and I was like, I'd love to buy them, but I can't be arsed cutting them. But anyway, sorry, that just randomly popped in my.
Buy the cut ones in the tin.
Yeah, no, I know. I just couldn't find them. But also, that was funny. You just proved my point. You said pineapple, and then I was like thinking about pineapples. So, right, you've kind of answered this, but your relationship to food then compared to now, how would you compare them?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It is. It's definitely getting there. It's not at 100%.
Yeah.
And I know that myself. Like, you know, this week even has been like a prime example of how it's not 100%. Like, I've been so busy with work that breakfast hasn't even crossed my mind. Like, I haven't been getting a lunch. I have been coming home and eating I've been getting off placement early. Don't tell anyone that.
We won't say it. Anyone listening to this,
No.
if you work in the health sector.
I worked full day. But yeah, so I've been coming home and then having lunch, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd still been getting my protein, I'd still been getting my calories, but the breakfast, and now since I've not had breakfast the whole week, I've been like, ew, I hate breakfast. I don't want to have breakfast. But today I woke up and I was hungry because I normally have breakfast every day.
Yeah.
But it was I just got into a really bad habit last week. But my relationship with food definitely has changed. Like, I don't know how to explain it because I don't know.
Well, you kind of actually explained it perfectly earlier when you said you went and got the cinnamon bun and the iced coffee, and there was no shame. And actually, that ties me right back to nearly answering this question for you, but I want you to elaborate on it. The shame around food and the guilt around food.
Oh my
How
God.
is that compared to years ago?
I remember I was probably 15 or 16. I had this fear of eating in front of people. I never ate in front of people. Like, I was in a youth club, and I remember, was it a youth club? No, it wasn't. I went away to Delphi. I went to Westport or something on my 4th year trip, and I wouldn't eat. I didn't eat for the whole weekend because I wouldn't eat in front of anyone. I couldn't bear the thoughts of anyone seeing me eat. I was just so conscious of it, like, and even like that went on for a while, like, and I just used to get so nervous, and I used to then eat when I came home, but I never used to eat in public. And that probably, it was so bad that I couldn't even carry trays. My sisters used to laugh at me all the time because they were like, why won't you even carry a tray in McDonald's? Because I was like, oh my God, imagine someone thinks that I'm going to eat all this food, 7 Happy Meals, like, you know, for everyone. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, and now it's so different. Like, I would just like, I was here munching on the cinnamon bun, walking out of the coffee shop, like, you know, no bra on, not a care in the world.
That just answered my question perfectly. Not only did you say about the food, but how you were feeling and the confidence in doing it in yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It doesn't bother me. And like, I used to be very judgmental, I suppose, myself, of what other people like. I was so bad for this. You know, when you're in Tesco, I used to go around and look at everyone's. Not now. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I used to look in everyone's shopping basket, something like. Jesus,
You sure you want that?
are you sure you want that? A six can of Coke? You want that? And like, And now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, that was so bad. And I'm like thinking, I wonder if they're single. Like, do they eat all that on their own? Or
Yeah.
and then I'd be going around with my fucking tofu and 75 bags of spinach, being like, haha, yes, I'm deadly. No. Now I have a whole fucking variety in my trolley. Like, I
Yeah.
love doing my food shopping.
Yeah.
Love.
Me too. It's my favorite part of the week. That sounds sad, but I love it. Okay, here's one for you, and I'm really excited to hear this one. What about your relationship to exercise now and then? Because you're fucking smashing it in the gym.
Yeah.
Like smashing it.
I only started going to the gym when I joined. Did I? When did I go to the gym? No, I used to go to fitness, and it was a class run down in Bray, Nicole and Sean, hi, and it was by a couple, and they ran a fitness class, and it was brilliant. Like I think I did that over COVID as well, and I kept that up for about a year, and I did hell and back with them and everything, and I ended up getting out of that because when I went to college, and then I went to college, and the gym was free in college, so I decided to just go there. I hadn't a clue what I was doing when I went there. I would never go near. I used to stay at the cable machine. There was a cable machine down the very back, and I used to just stay down there, and I used to just do all my every single exercise you could think of on the cable machine. I'd be like, "How do you do like a fucking Bulgarian split squat, split squat on the cable machine?" Like it was, I wouldn't move away from that cable machine. And I remember when I joined with you, I was like, "What machines do you use?" Cable machine. That was it.
I was like, what exercise do you like? Cable machine, full stop. I was like, okay.
Cable machine. But like the walks as well, I like when I never went to the gym when I lost weight before, never went to a gym before, wouldn't even lift a weight. I walked everywhere. I didn't drive at the time, but I walked everywhere. I used to do the Bray to Greystones Cliff walk once a day. In the morning time, like, or I'd do 3/4 of it and walk back. Like I was like at 10,000 steps before 8 a.m. kind of gal. Like it was bad. Like it was like now I'm like I couldn't even talk. It says I have 0 steps today. Well, that's a lie.
We know you went to the coffee shop because you told us that.
What do I have? I have 950 steps today, and it's like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I couldn't care because I know if I go to the gym, I'd be fine. Like I wouldn't be. I'm not obsessed with I had to stop wearing my watch for ages because I was so obsessed with the steps. But now, like I go to the gym and I love going to the gym. If I have to take my weights down by 10 kilos, I'm like, that's grand. I'm just wrecked today. I just kind of want a chill day. Or I'd go to the gym. Like I do go to the gym. I love going to the gym. And you know that because Narissa only gives me 4 days split. And
you say only? You're like one of the few that I give 4 days to. Most people are 3.
I like going to the gym and I just like the vibe of the gym. I love going to the gym and I don't know, it just gives me an hour a day that I don't really get because I have ADHD as well. And my brain is like, do you ever see that monkey from The Simpsons and he has like the little tin?
Yeah.
That's exactly. And like when I go to the gym, I don't think of anything else but the gym. I don't have to think of anything else. I literally throw my headphones on. It's like people going for runs and stuff. I just go to the gym to clear my head, cancel it out. So it is. It's definitely helped me mentally.
I think the thing about it is as well is it can be really hard for people who, especially at the start, they really, really don't enjoy exercise. But I think when people start feeling the mental benefits over the physical benefits of the exercise, that's when it sticks with people because they know how they want to feel after. And that's not me being an annoying personal trainer. The only workout you'll regret is the one that you miss. Like, no, like rest when you need to, right? But at the same time, like you do start getting a bit, I don't want to say addicted, but kind of addicted to that feel good feeling that you get after doing something.
Someone said to me, it's like the opposite of drugs.
Yeah.
Maybe I read it in a book. It's like when you do drugs, you feel great in the moment or drink, you feel amazing. And then the next day you feel shit. Whereas when you are exercising, you feel shit doing it. And you're like, I fucking hate this. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then you feel amazing. You're like, I've never regretted doing a workout.
Yeah.
Ever.
And even when it's a shit workout, which by the way, I love what you said there. I hadn't trained because I was away and then I got sick and then like literally, I went back in the other day to try and do legs. I had to take 50 kilos off my hip thrust, right? To even and my arse was still in bits. Now, ego nurse was like, ugh. But I was like, oh my God, I'm just so grateful to be able to come in here and just do something and start building that strength up again. Because no matter how much time you take off, the strength comes back super quick. But knowing that even when you go in, you have to strip the weights back, it's not always about the PBs. Sometimes it's a mental health workout. And do you remember we switched this narrative with the walks for you when you were like, I can't deal with the step count thing? And I was like, well, get rid of the step count thing and let's just say it's a mental health walk, right? Literally get outside for your mental health walk today. It doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter how far it is, doesn't matter how many steps you have. Pick a podcast you like and say, I'm going to do a route roughly that size. Yeah. And then switches and all of a sudden you were like, I'm loving the walks now again, Marisa.
And like even last night, like I get bursts of energy. Like last night it was like I had went to the gym and then I was like sat down and I was like hyper because like my ADHD medication had worn off and I had so much energy and I was like, I am not going to go to sleep. So then I went down to the beach. It was lashing rain and I went on a run down the beach and
you tagged me in this. And to be fair, I got it this morning. So I actually said, oh, I'm still in my PJs because I thought you'd done it this morning. Then I realized after, I was like, oh, she did it last night. Whoa.
No.
No, but I love that. And you're moving your body. And what I actually love there, and I'm not going to go down the spiritual rabbit hole because we'll end up down another hour on the podcast with this, but knowing when you need to release that energy out of your body. And this is something that I'm going to do a post on next week because I was in a bad mood this week and it's very rare that I'm in a bad mood. And I want to give people tips on what to do because most people think, oh, you go and try and meditate and you go and do that. And I'm like, when you're in a fucking foul humor and someone's asking me to sit down and just meditate, I was like, no, you need to move the energy out of your body. You need to get it. You need to move it. Your body is a physical thing. But like, we are not just placed on this earth as these physical beings. We have energy. We need to move it out of the body. I was like, whatever that is for you. So like you are so self-aware now to know when to do that, to move the stagnant energy, which is amazing. Yeah. So let me think now, right? What do you think is the main difference this time compared to like any other times? As opposed to how do you think this has finally become a lifestyle change as opposed to like a diet and exercise program?
It's very slow.
Love that.
Very slow. Like if I had of like within the first 3 months of me starting with you, like I was very like hoping to see the scale. Like I went in with this mentality of like hoping to see the scales just drop and me miraculously lose 10 kilos. And that just didn't happen. Yeah. It didn't happen. It happened eventually. But it didn't happen straight away. And it probably it happened the best way because it made me be patient. I'm patient now and I noticed that it's not like I went over Christmas and stuff and I was still like, I wasn't 100% tracking and I probably still don't 100% track.
You don't need to. I think that is a tool, not a crutch.
That 3 meg I had yesterday, that's fine. Just makes me tracked. That's fine. Where did that come from?
This is advice for people who've been doing this a while. If someone's new to this and I actually need to see their food diary, you do have to. For most people. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's like, the only way I can describe it is slow. Like I've always seen everything be so quick with weight loss and with myself, like it's just, everything just goes. Whereas when it came to about January, February, that's only when the actual like weight loss started to happen really. My body composition changed completely. Like I was still the same weight roughly but my body shape changed massively. And then I don't know. Yeah, I find it's very slow.
But I would say another way of saying slow is consistency over time. Like you're proving to yourself that in order for this to become a lifestyle change, it is about consistency. And I think this is what people struggle with the most. Like when people are working with me or they're doing anything in general, like I always say, if you sign up to a 6-week thing or an 8-week thing and it works for the 6 or 8 weeks, but you can't maintain it, in my eyes, I'm like, it didn't work.
No, when I see someone say to me, oh, I'm having 1,000 calories a day, I look at them and I'm like, no. Or someone saying to me, oh, I'm cutting out sugar for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not sustainable. Been there, done that. Yeah. Not sustainable. Like I'm hitting 30 in August and I'm like, I find that this, it's not even a plan. And, like, I always just feel like you're just there, and I need you. Like, if I need you, you're always there for me. But this is something that I need to figure it out. I mean, you leave me to figure it. Like, she's not that she leaves me there, she's just fuck off. But you're patient. Like, you know that this isn't going to be a 12-week fucking transformation. It's not a 12-week transformation.
Yeah.
You're brilliant, but that's unsustainable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's hard to kind of explain that to people when they come in and they're expecting just, they see, oh, well, Aoife's lost X amount of weight, but now I've been doing it for 6 months and 7 months probably. And I've been so consistent. Like, I actually work really hard. And I never said that about myself, but I actually fucking do. I work really hard. But yeah, I don't know.
No, but literally you do. As in, like, you're saying to me about me being patient and stuff. I always say to people, and this is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially people who bounce from coach to coach and program to program, right? You can have the best coach in the world, right? But they are Google Maps. You need to drive the fucking car. They can't. If I could exercise for people, I would do it, because my life would be easier for some people who really hate exercise, okay? But ultimately, like, I used to get myself really bogged down if a client wasn't getting where they want to go, but they were coming back with all the excuses under the sun why they couldn't do this. And I used to really take that personally. I'd be trying so hard to help them through. And I do. Like, you've had weeks where you were struggling and we jumped on a call and we got through it. But I helped you pick yourself up, but then you did the work to get out of it, right? I threw you the rope to get out of the hole. You had to climb out of the hole, right? So I used to get myself really bogged down that I'd be throwing rope after rope, but the person wasn't doing it themselves. Like, you have to be willing to take some sort of responsibility for your own life. And what I will say is, you've worked so hard. Like, no matter what the circumstances, whether it's been a good week, bad week, indifferent week, whatever it is, the best thing you've ever done as well is on the weeks you were struggling, you reached out to me. And if anyone is ever working with a coach, they can't help you if you don't reach out to them. I was like, and then as soon as you always jump off the calls and you're like, I actually feel great now, Doris. I'm so glad we had that call.
But it's sometimes I need to vent. I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And you just listen. You know, you're great. You're a great girl.
Great girl. But the other thing I'd say is, when it comes to like 6-week things, 8-week things, I'm launching this new program now that's 90 days, right? And it's like, the reason why I say 90 days is, firstly, you tell people to sign up to 6 or 12 months to your fitness program and they're like, get fucked. When they start working together, they start seeing, oh, this is a long-term thing. And I think 90 days is a great goal setting period, because like,
isn't that what you do to break a habit?
Yeah.
Or is it 60 days? It's 90 days.
I think it's 90 days. So like, I think it's the Huberman Lab and he's talking about it, but he says when he's setting goals, he was like, it's great to have like your process goals that you have to do every week, every day, stuff like that. But he was like, if you're setting a goal, 90 days is a great day. Like, it's not too far in the future, because 6 months can be a bit too intimidating, but it's not too close either. So it's kind of like that nice balance. I like that. So that's where I went for 90 days for this one.
Yeah.
Right. I have one last question for you, but you've kind of answered this a little bit. But anyway, what would your one piece of advice be to anyone stuck in the yo-yo dieting bandwagon hole?
You need to just sort yourself out. Like, mentally. Honestly, like, and it's so hard. You need to, I feel like if I had have had the education side of it, like the nutritional facts, I don't think I really understood any of the. Sorry, I'm trying to just put my shoes on. ADHD.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
I've been on this call for 52 minutes and she knows about ADHD. So now the brain's gone. So, what did you ask me? Sorry.
What would your one piece of advice be for someone who wants to get off the yo-yo dieting bandwagon?
Yeah.
The mental side of it.
The mental side. Yeah. Like, I really just think education.
Yeah.
Education is key. Like, my mom is a classic yo-yo dieter. Sorry, Jackie, love you. But it's complete, like, and to accept responsibility is a big thing as well. Like, she would say, oh, Peter brought in an Easter egg at 12 midnight last night, but I had to eat it. And I was like, no, you didn't have to eat it. Let him eat it. Why do you have to eat it? And she's like, oh, it's his fault. And I go, it's not his fault. It's your fault. Don't eat the egg. Do you know, it's kind of, I suppose, accepting responsibility as well as a big thing. Like, whatever goes into your mouth, do you know, or
Yeah.
what doesn't, or what comes out of your mouth or whatever. Like, do you know, you need to kind of find the root of it, like, and the problem. Like, oh, and hooray, I came off my anxiety medication. Finish.
We had to throw this one in. But also, can I just say that the things you pointed out there were literally my ethos. So, firstly, yes, you do have control of what goes in your mouth, okay, right? So this is what I would say here is taking responsibility for your actions. And not just from a dieting perspective, from a life perspective. Stop blaming everyone else, right? Everyone has shit. And I'm really strict with this sometimes. Everyone has their shit to deal with, no matter how good their life looks on Instagram. I was like, you need to stop reacting to everything and start responding to things that are happening, or it's going to just keep throwing more shit at you. So I love that about responding, not reacting, taking responsibility for your actions. The other thing I loved about sorting out your mental health, right? If you're going to follow a diet and exercise plan and completely negate the mindset element of it, you're just putting a plaster over a broken leg. You are not fucking dealing with the issues that need to be dealt with, especially if there's things like emotional eating, self-sabotage, all these things. The other thing you said was, what was the third thing? Oh my God, it was brilliant as well. Oh, education. Yes.
Yeah.
Firm believer. And I said this in the first half. If you don't understand why you're doing something, you're less likely to stick to it. Yeah. So if someone gives you a calorie target, like most coaches, they give you a calorie target, protein target. You said you've had this before, but they don't tell you why. Then you're like, why am I fucking doing this? I won't do it unless I know why I'm doing something. So that's why when I set up this new course, and I was trying it after Christmas with you guys to actually see, I was like, did you actually watch the lectures? And everyone was like, yeah, it actually really helped to know why I'm actually doing the things you're telling me to do.
It makes sense. It's like, I always knew that you had to have protein, but like with you, like I figured out, like if you have within a 30-minute gap between after you exercise, it's more beneficial to you. But like, it's little things like that. And it's like, there's no food that is a bad food.
Yeah.
There's no bad food. There's no good food. Food is food. Like,
yes.
You know,
yes, like, yes. There's so many mic drops here that I'm just like, yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't have had that mentality last year, like even probably 6 months ago, do you know?
Yeah.
So it does, like it will click.
It does click, and it takes time. And the thing about it is you get out of these things what you put into them. If you're willing to be like, this is the last thing I am signing up for because I'm sick of going on diet and exercise bandwagons, decide it's the last thing and be willing to put in the work on the other side of it. But get yourself a coach, and this is not me plugging me, this is saying get yourself a coach who
sign up with me.
Who cares about their clients? Like, because I know so many coaches, and they're, God, I could list them, but I'd be here all day. Yeah. They are doing exactly the same thing as me. They care about their clients so much.
But then you see the other ones that have 500 clients and...
Yeah. And then there's the 80% in the fitness industry that couldn't give a fuck about their clients, and they're giving carbon cut meal plans, 1,200 calories. They're getting people to train 5 days a week. They're punishing them if they don't do the workouts. And they're just they'll talk smack about slimming clubs, but they won't own their own shit and say what they're doing is just as bad. So I was like, it's all about doing your research. Find someone who's going to actually want to help you realize why you do the things you do, not just tell you what to do. And I think
it is like that's a big thing with you, is like you almost just you give it to us. Well, with me, that's how I found it, and you're just always there for us if we need it. But you let us find the purpose of it.
Yeah,
you know, there's been days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But then, like, I look back on it now, and 6 months ago, has it been even October, November, December, January, February, March, April? Yeah, 6 months. But I just feel like a whole different person. Like, regardless of weight loss, regardless of body change, composition, whatever, I feel amazing. Like, and I can deal with stress so much more. I used to cry all the time. The girls in college will laugh at this. I used to cry. Like, if someone asked me to stand up and say something, I used to cry. Now, I still would not stand up and say anything in front of a group, but I don't cry as much anymore. Like my window of tolerance was like, it was like fucking this. Now it's like this. If someone says something to me in work, I'm like, do you know what? That's your problem. You deal with that. Like, I am only here. I'm not here to deal with your problems. You can have that. Very nicely.
But do you think, this is the last thing I'll say, and then we will park it there, because I said I will not let this go over an hour. Do you think that the strength and confidence you gained in the gym actually has had an impact in your life? Because I think
100%.
Yeah.
I used to never go down to the weight section. Now I'm like, ho, 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 I'm going down to the weight section.
Yeah.
And I just would go into the gym and nothing would phase me.
Yeah.
Well, apart from Narissa asked me to do a sit up on a machine the other day, and I was like, actually, I'm not doing that because I was afraid I'd fall off. But I joined a new gym. And I did have gym anxiety, definitely. But the more I just kind of, in between sets, I'd walk around and try and find a new machine. But now I feel like, yeah, I feel great.
I love that. Do you know what? Just finish it there because it's a mic drop. Thank you so much for coming on. And if anyone wants to follow along at Aoife's story, what's your Instagram tag?
I think it's just Aoife Billington. Any single men out there? No.
Any saucy single man listening to it? Pretty sure my demographic on Spotify says like 99% women, but there's that 1% that's probably Eamon just listening to support, but whatever.
I don't want Eamon, don't worry.
He's just, I'm like, did you listen to the podcast? And he's like, yeah.
Selling.
And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'd be so surprised. I sent him shit and I was like, he's not going to listen to this. He actually does listen to it. I was like, bless.
Oh, I love it.
Right, I'm going to park it there. Bang on the 1 minute. Oh my God, 1 minute and 11. Love it. Right, I love you, my dear.
Bye.
Well done. Bye. Wow. So I really hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. And as I said at the start, if you like this episode, please like it, subscribe, give it a rating. I'm actually nearly at 100 subscribers on Spotify, and I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. I get way more excited about people actually subscribing to my podcast than I do about followers and stuff, because it's honestly my favorite thing to do. If I could just record podcasts every week, I would have a ball. So it really annoys me when I fall out of the habit of doing them more regularly. I've got some cool guests lined up though for the next few months, so I am excited. So with that though, I just want to finish off today because my marketing businesswoman will kill me if I don't mention this. It's like you're literally launching a new program and you're not going to talk about it. So I just want to talk to you a little bit here about this new program that I'm launching, and it's called Radiant and Resilient. The name came to me in a meditation and I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's exactly how I want people to feel. So what is it? It is a comprehensive 90-day program designed to redefine your relationship with both body and mind. Say goodbye to traditional weight loss programs and embrace a holistic approach that prioritizes self-love and empowerment. Through a fusion of nutrition guidance, mindset shifts, tailored training and wellness practices, discover the power within to not only shed unwanted weight, physically and mentally, but to truly thrive. Unleash your potential, sculpt your body, and embrace a life filled with confidence, vitality, and unshakable self-love. So what's actually included in this? You have, as I mentioned before, top-notch course content, right? So it is a holistic course designed to educate and empower you in every aspect of life. So the course element is actually broken down into modules which cover everything you need to know about training, nutrition, and mindset to equip you with the tools to navigate through all of the bullshit diet and exercise programs that you see online. And the course can actually be accessed via an app or a web browser. And it's actually hosted on a really cool site that it's the site I actually did all of my online courses on. So all of these are like 40-minute lectures with accompanying video and audio options. So some examples of this are in the mindset and motivation section. We have how to set and achieve any goal, motivation, how to cultivate it and how to sustain it, neuroplasticity and how to build habits that last, overcoming self-sabotage and embracing self-love. Then we have nutrition and relationship with food, energy balance 101 and what the fuck are macros, how to create the perfect meal, emotional eating, what is it and tools to combat it, and navigating social occasions on your weight loss journey. And I am still recording more lectures, by the way, but these are just the ones I have uploaded at the minute. And then we have a training and exercise section, which talks all about why lift weights and the important things to understand about weight training, the menstrual cycle, how to work with it and not against it, and how to build muscle, aka tone up. Why is it important? We have an entire self-love club. We have yoga classes, meditation and breathwork, shopping lists and quick and easy recipes. And then I have bonus live workshops and then extra helpful videos. Along with all the top-notch course content, right? You also receive, obviously, bespoke coaching. With this, you get bi-weekly check-ins to monitor your progress and help keep you motivated, because I do firmly believe accountability is key. You get mindset and well-being support and guidance from me, because it is all connected, and it's why most diets never work, is because you're not actually addressing the mindset issues that go along with this journey. You, of course, get a personalized nutrition plan. You get a personalized training plan, which can be tailored for gym or home workouts. And you get access to our members only WhatsApp group, which is literally awesome. It's daily accountability in the group where you gain invaluable tips from myself and others. Now, here's where the thing differs even more. You also get a monthly Reiki healing session. I'm sorry, but if someone just offered me the Reiki healing session a month, I'd already be sold. And this can be done online or in person if you're close to me. So if this sounds like something you would be kind of keen to sign up to, then I will leave a form for you to fill out in the show notes below. And we can either chat over WhatsApp, or we can jump on a call and I can answer some of your questions that you have. Or if you're already sold and you're like, that sounds fucking awesome, sign me the fuck up, then I will send you to the sales page and you can read a little bit more about it. But yeah, that's enough for me now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will chat to you soon. Have a fantastic day.